Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
I, 33 male, just found out my fiance, 29 female, of 9 years cheated on me for several years, need advice. My girlfriend, Heather, and I had been dating since we were 24 and 20 years old, respectively, and had been together for a long time. It was in my place of employment that we first met, and we were instantly friends. After a few months, we decided to move in together and had a 3-year relationship that was filled with happiness. Many years ago, when I was 28 years old, I was given a terrific job opportunity that took me out of state. Our lease was due to expire, so I took advantage of the opportunity when it presented itself to me. Even though Heather had initially meant to accompany me, she elected to remain behind to assist her family in the care of her old grandmother. I respect her for making her choice. Following the death of her grandmother, she was saddled with a plethora of additional family commitments that prevented her from permanently relocating to my hometown. The length of my departure from the nation was almost 4 years. During that time, we maintained a long-distance, what I saw to be, serious relationship, with her sometimes staying with me for several months at a time. I decided to finish up my Christmas shopping this evening and remembered that Heather had mentioned in an email earlier this year that she was interested in purchasing a specific camera lens, but that she needed to pay off some debt first. I decided to contact Heather to see if she was still interested in purchasing the lens. However, even though I no longer had access to that email account, I decided to do what any loving lover would do and find a way to give her the pricey present I knew she would appreciate. To do so, I first checked to see whether she still had the email in her sent folder, which turned out to be true. After all, we were living together again and sharing everything, so I didn't consider it an invasion of privacy. However, I later discovered that she had been cheating on me for practically the entire time I had been gone. I'm absolutely and utterly distraught. I've come to the conclusion that she has cheated on me after doing extensive research. The man, according to what I can tell, lives out of state, and based on their conversation, I don't believe they have ever really met. In her email inbox, she found videos of him jerking it off, filthy rubbish she had sent him, private discussions, future plans, and other similar things. She deleted them all. It is her retention of screenshots and audio recordings of Skype conversations and other activities that they have engaged in that frustrates me the most. I am not sure why she has done this, but it is clear to me that she previously had a romantic interest in this individual, which I find disturbing. It seems that their relationship ended at least a year ago, after spending the previous 5+ hours obsessively looking through all of her personal information while she sleeps like a dirty monster. That makes logical, given the fact that it happened not long after I returned to the city. Now that I'm aware of everything, it all seems so obvious, and I feel like a complete stupid. Only when she was too drowsy to communicate or too preoccupied with family concerns did she engage in conversation with that jerk. I'm completely at a loss on what to do. We just recently moved into our new house together this summer, we have dogs together, our finances are all connected. We're traveling in a few days to spend a week with my family for Christmas and then a week with her family, and our wedding is set to take place in the fall of next year. In the world, what exactly am I expected to do? Is it feasible that counseling will assist us in overcoming this situation? It makes me wish I hadn't found out about this since it would wreck my whole life, but I also know that I will never be able to look at her the same way again. So, should I just complain about it in secret for the next several weeks in order to prevent destroying our family's Christmas celebrations, and then deal with it later? Even though I loathe my fiancée right now, she's been everything I've ever loved for the last 9 years, and if there's a way to make this work, I'm willing to try. I just don't know how I'll ever forget the conversations they had. I'm angry right now, but I don't want to make any rash decisions. Update: while writing the Reddit post, I started drinking, and after continuing to drink while reading your guys' comments, I was in no position to drive anywhere, so I elected to crash on the couch. I was able to get in touch with my boss first thing in the morning, and he was kind enough to enable me to begin my Christmas vacation 2 days earlier than planned. The fact that an issue had occurred that would entail my canceling my wedding was all I needed to tell him, and he didn't want any more explanation on my part. As my fiancé got ready for work and departed for work, I pretended to be asleep on the couch. She tried to wake me from my sleep in order to inquire about the booze/couch/work situation, but I pretended to be weary and whispered that I'd send her an email later. As soon as she departed, I went to work. To acquire printer ink and a new flash drive, I dashed to our local store, then to our local bank to transfer half of the funds from our joint checking/savings account into my personal account. In my apartment, I printed off multiple of her harmful conversations/screenshots, as well as a few still images of that guy jerking off, and placed them all on a flash drive, along with other photographs, films, audio recordings, and other materials. I was able to arrange for the cancellation or transfer of several of our credit cards, insurance policies, and other financial assets into my sole name, which was quite helpful. We are fortunate in that we pay off our credit cards on a monthly basis, so shutting them was not a concern. As ludicrous as it may seem, one of the most important things on my mind was the well-being of my 2 dogs. I spent over 2 hours of my day digging through old files until I was able to find both of their adoption packets, which, despite the fact that we had adopted them together, I had completely filled out in my own name. As the last few hours before she returned home from work approached, I began packing as much of my belongings as I could into my car, leaving copies of the printouts on our coffee table in our living room, and then driving to my brother's house with my dog, cat, and all of my family's Christmas presents in tow. I meant to confront her later that evening, but I wanted to make sure that all of my important items were out of the house so that I could leave as soon as we finished talking. It's difficult, for those who are asking why I didn't just chuck her out of the window. Due to the fact that the house belonged to her family and that we had acquired it together, I couldn't just kick her out. Unless I was in a committed relationship with her, I didn't want to be associated with that establishment. Furthermore, she is rather wealthy, so if one of us had the financial means to force the other person out of the house, she would be the one to do so on her own dime. After everything was said and done, I got a text from her asking, "Are we going to talk about this?" Approximately an hour after she was due to be home, and I drove home. My expectations for her reaction were not met, and I was disappointed with what I got. I was expecting her to be regretful, remorseful, or something along those lines, but she seemed completely uninterested. I could see she'd been crying, but she didn't seem to care that I was there with her. After I sat down, she informed me that she immediately saw the bank accounts and questioned as to what we were doing with the house. It took all I had not to lose my calm and ask her if she had anything to say about herself or why she did what she did. She apologized, but said that she no longer cared about me and that she wanted to end the relationship after the Christmas season. After we re-established our living arrangements, she seemed to anticipate that she would be content with our relationship, but I suspect that was not the case. I had no idea what I was talking about. She burst into tears when she told me that she still had feelings for the other guy, despite the fact that they had never even met before that. If I was good with it, she then told me that she would buy me out of the equity we had in our home and that I could use the money that was left in our joint accounts to purchase a new home. I couldn't believe how aloof and businesslike she seemed, considering that I had never before met her. I gave a satisfactory response and then walked away. That's how my 9-year relationship came to an end. I went back into my car and wept like a baby the whole time. Upon returning home the next day, my brother and I moved in with my parents, and I've been here since. You were true in that my family has been amazing. Thank you very much. The use of alcohol has also shown to be really useful. Even though I have a lot of things to sort through at my house and with the rest of our belongings, that's all I have for the time being. I haven't heard from her since I left. At the very least, I'm bringing my dog and cat with me on this trip.